Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. What is left for us to do to bring the Mashiach? We hear a lot of talk about the coming of Mashiach. All the time we hear Mashiach is coming. We can bring Mashiach. Mashiach is about to arrive. This year Mashiach's coming. What do we need to do to bring Mashiach? Because as of right now, we do not see the Mashiach. We do not see the third temple. B'ezrat Hashem, today we will. But what do we do? What can we do? What power is in our hands to hasten His coming, to cause this revelation to come forth? What is needed? Well, we know what the Rebbe said 30 years ago. The Rebbe explained to us. The Rebbe said, Mashiach is ready to arrive. All that is left to do is to accept His arrival. So we know that before this, the previous Rebbeim said, all that is left to do, Mashiach is ready to arrive, all is left to do is just polish our buttons, meaning the last little external things that we need to do, just the little touch-ups. The work is done, we just need to fix up, do a little touch-ups just to perfect the job. Then after that, the Rebbe said, the buttons have already been polished. Now all is left to do is to accept Mashiach's arrival. So this is beautiful, but how do we apply this into our lives? What does it mean we have to accept Mashiach's arrival? It's an interesting focus the Rebbe tells us to focus on. The interesting part of this is the Rebbe is saying the work is done, all that is left to do is to accept Mashiach's coming. We feel within ourselves always a need to go out and bring Mashiach with our actions, and that is true. We have to focus on our physical, the positive good deeds that we do outside in the world. We need to have a tremendous intensity when going out to perform commandments, going out to perform good deeds for the one above, and we have to do that to bring Mashiach. But the Rebbe is emphasizing but all that is left to do is to accept Mashiach's coming. The work has been done, now we have to accept it. What does that mean? Interestingly, the Rebbe is not focusing on externally going out, but rather going in. Mashiach's coming is really the main thing we have to do now is to turn within and trust that Hashem is going to deliver us. Because as much work as we do out in the world, which is needed, we have to go out and affect the world, the physical world. That is what Hashem wants. That we should do good deeds in this world, and that we should draw down the divine light to shine forth throughout the world. It's not enough to just for a soul in heaven to be involved with Hashem. But no, Hashem wants people, physical beings in this physical world to be involved with Hashem. That's the highest level. But as much as we do from our own part, we have to have trust that the help is going to happen from the one above. The deliverance is really going to happen from Hashem. And that I think is what the Rebbe is telling us to focus on, is that of course we have to go out and affect the physical world. Of course we have to go out and do actions, and each action that we do can be the decisive action that brings Mashiach. That's obvious. We've been doing that all for many years now. But now especially, the hyper-focus has to be that we actually trust that Mashiach's going to arrive, that we actually believe in all this Torah. Not just that we believe and trust, but we live with this reality that Mashiach's about to arrive. Because that is the highest level. That we actually should feel an excitement in our service of God, because we should recognize that the time of redemption is in front of us. Right in front of us, is here. This is something that is life-changing if put into practice. Hashem puts us in this world to fight, to do good deeds, to transform darkness into light. But at the end of the day, we have to always bear in mind that as much work as we do from our own part, we need the help of the one above. It is a teamwork effort. Hashem's not going to do all the work for us. But Hashem's also not going to make us do all the work. We have to do our part, but we have to believe and remember that the Almighty is good and kind, and He's going to deliver us. Another important aspect to this, because every good deed we always have to increase in our actions. We have to go out in the world. But that's something that we're all aware of. We can't forget to focus on the internal as well. That is the main focus right now, that we should check the insides of ourselves, our innermost conscious thoughts, and make sure that they are trusting in Hashem. Whenever we find ourselves having a thought that makes us uneasy or makes us feel more distant from Hashem, we have to realize that thought is coming from a dark place. We have to shut that, we have to let that thought go away. And we have to make sure our thoughts are infused with a trust and an excitement with Hashem. Because we know that our conscious faculties are not our highest level of powers, of faculties, of abilities. Our soul is far beyond intellect. Our soul is connected to God above, and it knows Hashem exists. It is aware. It sees Hashem. Our soul doesn't just understand or agree that Hashem exists. Our soul is one with Hashem's existence. So our soul has a hyper awareness of God, so to speak, to say the very least. So our logic is already a contraction of that. Our intellect is already just a lower extension of our connection to God above. So, to make sure that our thoughts, our intellect, and our emotion and actions are coming from the right place, it has to be flowing with the part of our soul that is above logic, the part of our soul that knows God exists, the part of our soul that believes in Hashem without a shadow of a doubt, the part of our soul that has pleasure in serving God. That should fill our logic and our hearts and our emotions and our actions. Because our soul wants to do the right thing. It's just sometimes our body has its own desires. So the more we teach our body Torah, by learning Torah, the more we teach our physical flesh, our body, which is physical, it's neutral, it can either do evil or good. The more we show it goodness, the more our body itself is going to yearn for God and desire God. And that is actually what causes Hashem the greatest pleasure. And this is another level to this. When we serve God, we have to be conscious of Hashem. The Rebbe explains that the greatest way of serving God, of learning Torah, is that you're just aware of God. You're not so focused on your self-presence, your self-existence, but rather your whole existence is focused on Hashem. And that is how you reach your truest place. So this is something this goes without saying. By looking at what's going on in the world, we know Mashiach is about to arrive. It's clear that the world is shifting so dramatically. Hashem is causing the world, setting the stage for Mashiach within the world. Shaking up the system, to say the very least. However, we want to be a part of it. We want to accelerate. The Rebbe tells us you can bring Mashiach. One action that you do can bring Mashiach. So how do we focus on bringing Mashiach? Well, as we said earlier, focusing on our trust in Hashem is the first step. Trusting that Hashem is going to actually bring Mashiach. Hashem is someone you can rely on. If Hashem says something, He means it. So that already should cause us a true trust and faith in God, and it should cause us an excitement within our hearts to serve Hashem. And then our actions, we're saying a person's always focusing on going out into the world. But the Rebbe is saying, yes, of course you have to go out into the world and bring Mashiach, but you also now have to really focus on inside your own world to make sure you really believe in the coming Mashiach. Why? Because then that will allow you to go out into the world with a greater intensity, a greater effectiveness. Then there's another aspect to this that we know that the second temple was destroyed for sinat chinam, baseless hatred. There was an unbelievable amount of useless hatred towards one another. People hated each other, Rahman al-Atzlan, for no reason. They hated people just to hate. So if we see that the reason why the temple was destroyed was because of useless and baseless hatred, so the way to build a temple has to be the exact opposite. Baseless love. Useless love, so to speak. Loving someone even when they maybe aren't deserving of love. Loving someone maybe if they don't have any reason to be loved by you. But you love them anyway because they're a creation of the one above, and it's the right thing. And they're a person too inside of them. And they have their own struggles. And they have their own challenges. And when you empathize with them, you cause the divine light to shine forth throughout the entire world. Hashem gets extremely excited when we show empathy for one another, because we know Hashem is the true empathetic one. Hashem feels our pain beyond infinitely more than we could ever dream of feeling our own pain. So when we show empathy with another, we're bonding with Hashem. Hashem, so to speak, says, you feel bad for this person? I also feel bad for this person. Thank you for caring for someone else. Hashem adores us, and we have to get involved with His adoration of us. How do we do that? By showing an adoration for one another. and showing, of course, one for Hashem by following His Torah and mitzvahs. And with this, may we merit the coming of the Mashiach today, that we'll experience all of this in a clear and open way. In the times of Galus, the times of exile, before the Mashiach arrives, it takes work. You have to fight to feel an awareness of God. You have to fight to do the right thing. Mashiach arrives, it's going to be open and revealed and overflowing. So now is the most opportune time, because now each and every one of our deeds are far more precious than ever before, because we still have free will. When Mashiach arrives, we're not going to really have free will anymore. So our service of God is not going to be as impressive, so to speak, to Hashem, and as dear. Of course, still be dear and precious, but the fact that you have free will right now makes your service of God all the more appreciated, so to speak. May Hashem bless you all. May we merit the coming of Mashiach today. Please help share this message.